The word no seems to scare so many business owners shitless, but it's the word that should be leading your sales process. It should be the first word you think of when a prospect pops up and starts asking the question, will you take my money in exchange for your services? In today's episode, me and the EBG are going to show you why that is and why it's a word you shouldn't be crapping your pants over. If you want more of what you see in our podcast today, visit well-fed-freelancer.com to get a copy of our book, The Well-Fed Freelancer, where we go into far more detail and show you exactly how you can implement what we teach. It's £5, and if you don't like it, you get double your money back. That's £10 and a free pizza as an apology for wasting your time. Side note, we've also released a new program. Cohort 1 is open for core control. If you want more information on that, go to wellfedbusiness.com/core-control. Start the episode.
Hi everyone! Woo! It's us again.
Shut up, John.
I'm disgustingly fucking cheerful these days. It seems to have been working
You are.
with Toby on the mobility stuff, you know. I get out of bed in the mornings and I don't feel like I've just done 15 rounds with Mike Tyson.
It's amazing how eliminating small pains from your day can improve your mood.
It doesn't so much improve my mood, seriously.
You can't feel your feelings.
That's absolutely true. I stand corrected, you're right. I actually had this conversation with Toby, funnily enough. And I was talking, and indeed Vicky, my coach, we were talking about, you drink more water. Oh, you get a great sense of well-being. Change your diet, get a great sense of well-being. I don't meditate, write a journal. I don't get any of that. That's not to say I don't get the objective benefits, because I almost certainly do. I mean, obviously, because I go to the gym, I build muscles, and I've got a six-pack. So if I get the objective benefits, of course I do. But I don't get that, oh, you'll feel better. I just feel the same all the time. And mindset coaches and their fucking bollocks about, oh, if you say you're fine, it means you're not. Well, absolutely no. If I say I'm fine, that's the only answer I've got, because I always feel fine. And if I don't feel fine, whether I either feel euphoric or like really shit, if something bad, really, really bad has happened. There's no in between, really. It's just flat. I fucking hate mindset coaches. They're full of shit. They really are full of shit.
You don't get the soft benefits of things such as journaling and whatnot, do you? Just the
No,
objective.
I don't.
But I'll tell you, you seem more chipper. So
I'm quite happy to believe that.
yeah, you seem more chipper, so it's always good for me because John, you wouldn't know it, but dealing with someone who's almost 70 can be hard work sometimes.
Almost fucking 70. What, 13, 12 years to go yet. 12 and a bit.
Every day in our little Google chat platform, there's just you questioning, like, how does this piece of technology work?
Oh, this is an absolute fucking lie. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take screenshots and print them out. And then I'm going to hold them up to the camera every time you try and pull this bollocks. I'm an ex-fucking computer programmer. You're the one who can't fucking deal with WordPress. And when you try, you completely fuck up. I mean, how can you fuck up an entire website? Oh, I don't know. Just ask Connor, because he does it every time he's allowed to play with it. Fucking cheeky bastard.
The computers you're used to dealing with, John, you had to boot them up 2 days in advance if you wanted to work on them. They're different now, but it's okay.
25 years ago, I was doing low-level systems programming on Sun Microsystems, and these computers were £1 million each, and that was 25 years ago. So up yours, fuckface.
And they let you near them?
Yes, they let the autistic fucking programming genius near them.
Did they let you have a cup of coffee? Because we've seen what your motor skills are like.
I didn't work on the hardware. I just did the software, you know. So I was quite safe, you know.
I saw an opportunity to make a joke.
You don't want me playing with the soldering iron. You really don't.
No. You're like your mate. You're like your mate who hasn't had a drink in a few days. Pass the vodka.
That's Toby. It's another Toby, by the way. Yeah, it's a
A
different
different
Toby.
Toby, yeah.
Seriously, listeners, watchers, this guy, I mean, he's not really a friend. He's a friend of a friend. I mean, I haven't seen him for probably 25 years, but I know him. And I used to be quite friendly with him. And 25 years ago, he was a young bodybuilder. He was built, he was cut, good looking chap. Now he looks a lot older than I do, and he's probably 10 years younger. And the reason being, he's an alcoholic. And I don't know what he's doing now, but at one point, probably a year or two ago, he was starting his morning at 6 o'clock with a bottle of vodka. And by 9, he'd finished it. And then he would have 2 more throughout the day before crashing out on the floor of his coffee shop because his wife had kicked him out of the house, only to start again at 6 o'clock the next morning. He went into rehab, spent 15K on rehab for 28 days, came out and celebrated with a bottle of vodka. And then he switched to wine, and instead of 3 bottles of vodka, he cut down to 7 bottles of wine a day. I mean, he looks like shit. He's fucked his
Cut down.
He's fucked his central nervous system, and he's just, I mean, so he's looking at him and he's got the fucking skin lesions and stuff. He looks like a fucking wreck. But yeah, listen, no, this is true.
John.
I've got to say this.
Okay.
Hang on, let me just say this. He's so depraved. It's so fucked up. He paid a homeless woman for sex with a bottle of vodka. He paid for sex with a homeless woman with a bottle of vodka. That's how low you can sink, guys. Don't be that Toby.
Descended so far into alcoholism, the currency he dealt with is just vodka. He's got no money. He looks at his money as how many bottles of vodka he's got. So we look at our bank account. We're like, millions. We're like millions, and he looks in his bag. He's like, I know I've got no money, but I've got 6 bottles of vodka. Can
you imagine what it would be like waking up after a day like, oh, fucking hell. Anyway.
Do you reckon he went down on her?
I have thought about that, and then I've just shut that out of my mind. I don't want to think about it at all. I don't want to go there.
Before you move on, the reason I was interrupting you is because I had the best segue ever. Yeah,
go on then. And now I've ruined it, haven't I?
No, because it's kind of funny. Because you know when you bring attention that you're about to make a joke, and it kind of changes the tone and the humour, and people get fed up like that, and then it's going to be anticlimactic, and everyone goes, "Oh," but everyone's still got a smile on their face. So is it really a bad joke anyway? So do you know what the easiest thing to do, John? If you're an alcoholic and someone offers you a drink, what's the easiest thing to do?
Well, the easiest thing to do is to drink the drink, but the sensible thing to do is just say no.
Okay. It's important to say no, isn't it?
It is. Well, you're a bit young, but Nancy Reagan's, as in President Ronald Reagan's wife, her message on the war in the war against drugs was just say no, which is great if you're not an addict, and most of us are not addicts. So, yeah, no is very powerful. Unfortunately, and you know, you see this, and particularly among women, because I think women are generally socialized more in their upbringing to be agreeable, as Jordan B. Peterson says. Women they are brought up to be more agreeable than men, and saying no is actually a real problem for some people. That book by Ann Dixon, A Woman in Your Own Right, a huge portion of that is basically predicated on giving women, or showing them the skills and kind of allowing these women to empower themselves to say no. You know. Because when people think about saying no, and again, it's the more empathetic you are, the harder it's going to be. They put themselves in the other person's place. Now, this person will be upset, and they might not like me anymore. They've got this problem, and that problem is now my problem. And all of this is damaging, because how other people feel about you saying no is not your business. Never mind your concern or responsibility. You know, you've got a responsibility to yourself. So if you want to say no to something, just say no. And I take that even further in that, you know, we teach this as part of core control and all our work, and we predicate much of our work on the idea your initial response to anything should be a no. Now, there are 2 kinds of no in this context. There's the explicit no. So someone might come along and say, you know, hey, can we jump on Zoom for 20 minutes? And you would just say, no, that doesn't work for me. and then go on to say, but what you can do is book a consultation for 30 minutes, and for that I charge, etc., etc., etc. Or you can have an implicit no. For instance, a guy messaged me out of the blue a couple of weeks ago on LinkedIn and said, I'd like to book a consultation, send your invoice to this email address, and so on. And I went back and said, steady on, Tiger. I don't even know who you are or what you want to talk about. Let's see if I can save you some time and money and ask a couple of questions. Well, that was an implicit no. Now, there are three damn good reasons for doing this, because the reaction of most people, if someone had, probably 99 out of 100 people, when messaged that, invoice me here, let's book a consultation, they'd be dead excited. Oh, almost like free money. A lead I haven't had to work for. This is going to be great. Well, hang on a minute. Why? Why is that great? Now, the thing about saying no is it immediately stops your descent on the emotional helter-skelter. And the more enthusiastic and excited a prospect or client is, the more important it is to say no to them, either implicitly or explicitly, in the beginning. Because otherwise, you get pulled along with their emotions. And think about it this way. You get that guy came to me and says, let me book a consultation, send your invoice here. Yeah, great. I've got no idea what he wants to talk about. And it could be, for instance, a topic about which I know nothing. Maybe he's got an autistic son and he wants me to mentor him or something, but the son's only 3 years old. Well, it's not something I would go near. I'm not qualified to. So I would actually end up, because
It's the first time you've ever said no to a 3-year-old.
remember the three questions we've got: can I help you? Do I want to help you? Can you afford to pay me? And will you pay me? But we also say, if I can't help you, will you get your money back? Well, if I say yes to something to someone who's just not suitable for a call, all I'm doing is setting up an administrative headache for myself and effectively probably wasting 20 minutes of my time, because I'd have to honour my guarantee. I want to talk to you about how to make semolina. I've got no idea. Here's your money back. So by saying no, either implicitly or explicitly, you stop the emotional helter-skelter. You stop that slide immediately. And the more excited and insistent they are, the more important it is to say no. It stops everybody and makes them think. Also, referrals. It's even more important to say no to referrals than anyone. Reason being, someone refers, say you referred your mate to me for mentoring. And we are very close, you and I. We know each other's ways very well. But even so, I've got more insight into the people I want to work with than you have by definition. And if I just trust you blindly and say, yes, I'll work with this person, you sent them in good faith. They've come to me in good faith, but they're still not a fit. But I've allowed our relationship, for instance, to basically to cause me to disregard my own rules. So it's even more important to say a no, implicitly or explicitly, to the stronger the lead, the more important it is to say no, because your own emotions are risking you circumventing your own rules that you've got in place for a damn good reason. That's the first thing. It makes everyone, it forces people to stop and think rationally.
That's a really interesting. It does. The most interesting is where you said the stronger the lead, the more important and the more powerful the no needs to be. Because every other sales trainer out there will tell you that if you've got a strong lead, you go for it, you circumvent it. It's a referral. So therefore, they're far more likely to be the perfect lead. So forego the usual systems and fast track them into paying you. That's very unconventional. You can recognize that is completely unconventional.
Absolutely.
Say it again, just in case people missed it. We say no to the strongest leads because
we cannot trust other people to qualify our leads as well as we do in the same way. They send them in good faith, but they're not us. And we have metrics and opinions and things we do, which we don't necessarily talk about to other people. Not because we're hiding it, because I don't. Why would we? It's just stuff we do. It's not relevant to anyone else necessarily. Now, the second reason is, and it's kind of connected to what you just said about whatever it was you said, I can't remember what it was now. But the second thing is it puts, well, about being unconventional. Yeah? By saying no and forcing people to stop and reconsider and think about things logically, it puts you in a position of control of the dialogue. Yeah. If someone comes to you all excited, says, "Yeah, let's do this," regardless of what this is, and you say, "Yeah, let's do that." Well, what are you agreeing to? You've got no idea. So you're being guided by them. All right. Well, that's a problem because we are the experts. All right. And the person coming to me all excited, they might have a very clear idea of what they want to achieve, their outcome, but they are not, with rare exception, they are not qualified to say to me, "And you're the guy to help me," because I might not be. They might come to me with a problem I cannot solve. They might come to me, "Oh, you're the business guru. You can solve my problem. I've got shitty employees." Well, no, I can't really help you with that. And even if I could, I wouldn't want to because people ain't my thing. Yeah, they're not qualified to control our dialogue. All right, they're in our territory. It's like going to the Andes and hiring a tour guide or a mountain guide. You follow them. You don't tell them where to go. You tell them where you'd like to end up, maybe, and then they will take you along the route they know because they're experts in their field. So by saying no, you take back control of the dialogue. You can then ask questions. And this guy I mentioned before, the one who says, "Send me an invoice," he actually ghosted me in the end. And that's great because, well, it worked because I probably spent less than 5 minutes asking questions by LinkedIn Messenger and avoided all the hassle of sending an invoice, paying him, getting on the phone, and maybe having to give him his money back because I wasn't suitable. We figured he decided that already, and that's fine. This is why we fucking do triage, but we can only do that by saying no in the beginning.
Yeah, and if you said yes there and perhaps went along with the ride, the refund rate, even if they were a fit and everything on the surface looked perfectly fine, because they are that impulsive, excitable character, they may impulsively purchase some mentoring, purchase a program, whatever. But then buyer's remorse is very strong, very powerful, and they'll ask for a refund. The longer you can make the sales process, the less likely is that you'll get a refund, and the more you can charge them, and the better your positioning is. That's another reason we're strong on saying no, is because if you go to the doctor and the doctor's there all excited to see you, all happy, you'd be suspicious, wouldn't you? You'd be really fucking suspicious.
They've got this new drug they want to push on me.
Yeah. And it's a really expensive drug. It's a really expensive new drug, and he's really excited to sell to you. You wouldn't fucking trust him. Not one bit. You'd be like, "I'm not having that drug." But on the inverse, if he was very cautious of you, very offish, and he's like, "I do think I have a treatment, but I'm not sure it's quite right for you," you'd be like, "What is it?" And he goes, "Well, even if it was right for you, I'm not sure you can afford it." "What is it? Tell me." But if it is right, it's going to sort all of your problems out and you're going to live the best life ever. You'd suck him off there and then just to know what the fucking thing is, let alone have the drug.
But I'll probably do that anyway, to be fair.
That's how you got the appointment in the first place.
I mean, that's actually the third point. The third point is, and being somewhat cynical, is, we humans are wired up to want what we can't have. So by saying no and making yourself unavailable, it makes you more desirable. And to the extent where, one thing I recommend people play around with, especially consultants and coaches and mentors, and the more you're charging and the more high end your package, the more you'd probably want to do this. But copywriters and even service providers can do this too, website designers, whatever. It's just almost one of the first things you say in a consultation call is something along the lines of, this is a consultation call. At the end of it, you'll have a blueprint. I'm not going to sell you anything unless you ask me to. But one thing you need to understand is the chances of you actually working with me one-on-one, even if you ask me to, are very slim because I don't work with many people and I don't have much capacity. So we're going into this call on the understanding that this is probably the extent of our relationship. And even if you ask me to, I probably won't be working with you. Well, immediately, there's a whole raft of things, including make them want you more. And they will often spend the rest of the fucking call sucking up to you because they want to qualify. You know
And do you know what else they'll do?
what?
They'll almost exaggerate their own problems to be like,
Oh, they
oh,
will.
they're so bad, only you can fix them. They're so bad.
This is, I mean, guys, if you're listening to this and you've never done it yourself, and you're thinking this is nonsense, it will never work. I'm telling you, it will. It won't work every time, of course. Nothing ever works every single time. But if you look at it statistically, you will get better results. The less needy and desperate and keen you are to sell your shit, the easier you're going to find to sell it, and to sell it to better people, and to sell it at higher prices. This is a given. I mean, it's
And the
just
more
the truth.
enjoyable you'll find it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And all this begins and ends really with saying no. I mean, I can't remember where I read this. This may have been from Jim Camp, because he used to teach this stuff as well. And it's not the only place I've heard this stuff. But I remember reading many years ago, it may have even been Robert Ringer, the libertarian entrepreneur, who said, in any negotiation, the person most willing to walk away has all the power. Well, that's just another way of saying, if you say no and you're prepared to say no right up until the end and make it a hard no, they have no hold on you. And think of it this way: you get clients and people will push and push and push for discounts and extra work and all that kind of thing. If you are prepared to say no, okay, you've got all the power, because they evidently want something from you. Because if price was that important, they'd be off elsewhere with someone cheaper. So they actually want what you're selling. They just don't want to pay you a decent price for it. And a good example of this is from a few weeks ago, probably months now, before the summer. One of my guys deals in IT equipment, and he had a chap coming to him and say, there's this certain model of headset. Your price is like 156 quid, but I can get them for 135 here. What can you do about the price? And he says, what do I do, John? I says, you tell him, I can't match that price. So on this occasion, you're better off going with the cheaper option. The guy didn't respond except to place the order. And it was a big order. Now, what that guy wanted was to buy from my client. That he wanted his service, his quality, the experience of dealing with my guy. But he wanted the other guy's price. Well, the other guy is selling cheaply for a reason. So please stick to your prices. If price is that important to people, they'll soon let you know, because they'll just walk away. If that's all they care about, they'll just go to the cheapest person. And good riddance to them, because someone who's prepared to switch like that, it has no, I won't say they've got no decency, but they have no loyalty to you at all. And when they're just not particularly good clients for the most part. And don't get me wrong, I know costs are important and bottom line is important. I know all that. But someone who's only interested in the bottom line, regardless of your quality and your service, they're not good clients. They're never good clients. So it's 3 reasons to say no.
Everything we say is always predicated on you running a good, decent business.
Ethical business, absolutely.
Good, ethical, decent business yourself, and you're not selling fucking paper clips on eBay.
Yeah, or snake oil.
Or snake oil, which is even worse than paper clips on eBay.
I've had people come to me over the years trying to get my help to sell some of the most repulsive shit, a lot of this mindset stuff. And
well, John, what I will say is hey, it's your fault, because whatever you put out there, that's what you bring in. And I've known this firsthand recently, because a clip of me talking about that fat cunt, Ricardo Avocado, is making the rounds around my fucking boyhood village. I think I've mentioned this before, but it's getting worse. So my girlfriend's mum has seen it. My mum has now seen it. In fact, no, I haven't mentioned this because this is the first podcast we've done since the weekend. What do you mean? What do you mean? What have you got to be smug about here?
There was you. Oh, podcast clips with my face on get all the attention. Now you're fucking moaning about it.
No. No, I'm not moaning. If
yes,
anything, yeah.
Moan. Fucking millennials. I hate millennials. They're such little whining shits.
This is not the time to give. No, because this will end in a disciplinary for the podcast editor. Yeah, because there should not be clips of me calling Ricardo Avocado a fat cunt, going out on Instagram. What we're trying to attract is business owners. However, so that means the clips that go out should be business clips. This clip is a gossip piece. This is the equivalent of the front page of The Sun. And as a result, we have attracted a ton of views, by the way. However, they are all from middle-aged women. All of my mum's friends, including my mother herself, my girlfriend's mother, and all of her mother's friends. Some of my best childhood friends who I haven't spoken to in a while have liked that clip. And weirdly, there's several thousand views from India.
I mean, I know we're laughing about it now, and I'm particularly laughing at you, not with you. I'm laughing at you. Okay.
No, you're laughing with me. Fuck off.
I'm doing both, I suppose. But there's a serious point here, and serious doesn't have to be unfunny. The opposite of fun is not seriousness, and seriousness is not the opposite of fun. The opposite of fun would be solemnity. So things can be fun and serious, like the Onion with the autistic reporter Michael Falk. It's fucking hilarious, but it's also got serious points in it. So, serious point here, even though I'm fucking grinning all over my stupid face. This is what we've got here is in microcosm exactly what influencers on all the platforms do. Yeah, so when you see influencers on LinkedIn, for instance, getting loads and loads of engagement because they've made up some bullshit story about feeding a homeless person, or being stopped outside their house they've just bought, and some neighbor stopped them and says, "Oh, your husband must have a really well-paid job for you to have this nice house." And it's obviously a woman who's doing this, and then she's saying, "Oh, why do men treat us like this and always assume that we've got husbands who are paying for everything?" That never happens. You're making it up. You're lying because you know it will get you engagement. But the thing is, it'll get you engagement from people who might be good clients for you because you just talk shit and they just want to learn to get a big following. But if they follow your lead, say they're doing what we do, or they're builders, or they're painters and decorators, if they follow your lead, they will not attract the right people. It works for influencers only because they want to fucking sell to anyone who want to be popular. They're selling popularity, all right, which is a very different thing. So please take what influencers say, not only what they say with a pinch of salt, because they're often lying for engagement, but also take their methodology and their claims you can apply it to your business and get the same results. Take those with a massive dose of salt, because they're shovel sellers trying to sell you basically shovels when they're pretending they're selling you a gold mine. All right, they are like, of all the things, the amazing things human beings can do. All right, we can also do some really fucking bad things. There's some really shitty things about the human species, and LinkedIn, sorry, not LinkedIn, but influencer culture is one of them. Influencer culture is one of the worst things we've ever created. It's fucking horrible. It really is.
Something I'd be really interested in seeing is I've noticed there's been a surge. So first and foremost, there's always been marketing agencies. Then an evolution of that was social media marketing agencies. And then it all goes downhill from here. It just further goes downhill. We then had social media organic agencies that just posted on your behalf, essentially just social media managers. From that, we then descended into clips where people clip up things such as me talking about Nacado avocado and think that's going to win them business. It does not. To then brand specialists. And now the big rise in agencies. So the branding agencies, not specialists. I apologize. Lots of branding agencies coming about because that was the popular topic. All of these things are agencies that I'm talking about. And the most recent agency rise that I've seen is personal branding agencies. There's been a massive increase in the amount of agencies that specialize in personal branding over the last couple of months. I would be really, really interested to see what their processes look like, their systems look like, and more importantly, their results look like. I'd be also really interested in seeing how much of a pain in the ass their client list is. Imagine someone coming along, because a personal branding agency, if they're doing it right, yeah, and the people self-absorbed enough to think I want a personal branding agency, I imagine the minimum fee is 5K a month. I imagine. If not,
no idea.
there's something out of line there. I mean, if you go for a £500 a month personal branding agency, you're just branding yourself cheap, I think. How can you be seen as premium? And anyway, by the by, The people paying $5,000 a month to increase their personal brand. I'm not sure about that.
Do you remember that? We go back to Gary Halbert, that clip we saw when he says, if we measure success as being 100, then 99.9 parts of that success are actually fucking selling something. He didn't swear, I did. Well, what business owners don't need, and they don't need a website. It's a nice to have sometimes. You don't need one. You don't need a social media presence. You don't need a following. You don't even need an email autoresponder list. You don't need a brand. You don't need office stationery. You don't need an office. There's lots of things you don't need. And there's one thing you absolutely fucking do. And if you don't have this one thing you do need, all the rest is, you can't have the rest anyway because you've got no money. And that is, you need clients or customers. That's what you need. And you don't need all those
Sales.
7 or 8 things. Yeah, you need sales. You don't need those 7 or 8 things to get sales.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to taking control of your business. Saying no is just the very beginning.
Well, no is basically the beginning of triage, isn't it?
Yeah.
And triage is probably the most powerful thing I teach.
It's the beginning of the sales process, isn't it?
And it's an immensely powerful filter to save your time and energy. I mean, it's predicated on the idea of, I don't know what each individual person's numbers are, but, something like 8 out of 10 inquiries probably go nowhere for most people, something like that. It doesn't matter. But what that does mean is there's an 80% chance that a given inquiry is going to be a waste of your time. So it serves you well to get to a hard no as quickly as possible, because a hard no is the most likely outcome, whether it's an 80% chance or a 50% chance or whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, so rather than going for a yes, go for a no, because once you've got that no, you can just stop. Yeah, because often they're not equal either. They're not kind of equally weighted. A firm no is a firm no, and that's it. We should be teaching our kids this, little girls and things. No means no, we stop. But a yes, well, what does a yes actually mean? Because they've not paid you anything yet, so that yes then has to go on and be qualified. And then you have to implement and deliver and plan and all those things. So until that money's in your bank, a yes is meaningless. And in fact, if you're not prepared to say no, your yes means nothing either, because you have no other answer. And it's basically information theory. Claude Shannon showed if an event is guaranteed, or if it's certain, it conveys no information. Basically, the only things that convey information are changes. And so, if you're saying yes to everything and you don't ever say no, your yes is meaningless. It doesn't have any value or information to it.
That was
over your head.
No, that was a sound, but I need a little sound thing that I can click whenever there's an autistic tangent for 10 seconds where I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, you're showing me behind the curtains and beneath the iceberg. Just give me the tip, mate. Fuck me. You just go 6 inches deep without asking.
Going in dry, big boy.
We need to wrap up.
We do. Get the book.
How do they do that?
They go to well-fed-freelancer.com. They go down, they click a button, and they follow the simple on-screen instructions, and they give us £5. Maybe a little bit more if they've got to pay VAT on it. And then they download the book and they read it and they take action. And if they don't like it, for any reason or no reason at all, any point from now till doomsday, they can get double their money back and a free pizza. It's that simple. And please don't tell me you have no money. If you have no money and you tell me you can't afford £5 for a book, and you're in any kind of business where you're helping people do anything, I think you probably need to get a job. I really think you need to get a job, because if you genuinely don't have £5, I had a direct response copywriter tell me this morning, I have no money. And his tagline is, email marketing, conversion focused copy. And my response to him was, basically, I copied his tagline and says, well, if this is the case, you're not very good at your job, are you? Incredibly rude of me, I know, but fucking hell, you know, if you're a fucking selling direct response copying, you don't have £5, you ain't very good at what you do because you can't even sell yourself. For fuck's sake. Anyway, well-fed-freelancer.com. Buy the fucking book.
And on that note, goodbye.
Goodbye.